All right, welcome back to Off the Tap. This week is episode 43, and we're doing Moosehead Lager.
Promise you guys we're going to work on some intro music so you don't just have to sit in suspense of what the count is of episode this week.
Yeah, that's true. And so you don't just have to be bombarded by my voice right away. You get a little bit of a lead in.
Welcome back. We should put a poll up to see if people want a countdown. That way they're just not blindsided by it. I don't even know if that really works.
3, 2, 1. Kind of like a little bit of a iCarly introduction. I don't know if you
Ooh,
watched iCarly.
we're going to need to cut that reference out. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Man, wow. All right. So yeah, we're doing this Moosehead Lager. Obviously, it's a lager, 5.0% ABV. Again, this is what online said. We've come to the conclusion that it's not always correct.
I'm going to read the side of the bottle and let you know, but go ahead.
All
What did
right,
you say it
so
was?
a 5.0. That's what their website said.
No, dude, dead on the bottle. This is mass
Good.
produced. I think that I'm not going to say this is the Miller Lite of Canada because that's obviously Molson Coors, but this is super popular for. This is the Heineken of Canada, and
Okay.
so therefore it's spot on. There's not a craftiness to this, I don't think, where we have the variability we've seen week to week with some of the craft beers.
Alrighty. Well, that's good to know. And we've got a 13 IBU, so this is going to be pretty easy on the IBUs, which
Yeah,
I'm
stereotypical.
feeling good about.
Stereotypical for the the lager slash pilsner, if you will, green bottle. Um, Solid brand, like just simple branding. It's very classic, if you will.
Yeah,
Been around a while. 1867.
I was gonna say I love the colors on it personally. I like that green color that they use. Obviously, I mean they're not doing much with the names. I don't know if it is a craft beer or not. Like you said, it's pretty largely produced, mass produced.
It's funny. It says on there. You know how like in the States you have independent brewers, right, with a little bottle that's there on each bottle. You ever seen
Mm-hmm.
that logo? Okay. This states right under the neck tag. I'm sure there's a terminology for that, but it says fiercely independent product of Canada.
How fiercely, huh?
Fiercely. I don't know how fierce they get up there with their
Um,
mounted police, but yes.
yeah, I don't, but yeah, I mean I like the label. It's clean. It's nice. Big old moose head on it. Pretty clear that where it's brewed at. But again, there's no like fancy name or anything. It's just Moosehead Lager. But if it's a massive or mass produced thing, then I don't expect anything crazy. So
I
I'm
mean,
just saying that the marketing is good for what it is.
dude, also, so we've talked about this. I've had this one before. And it is on my top 10 list probably. It's a lot sweeter than I remember.
Yeah.
And I struggle with sweet. But I think it's only because as of late we've had the Carlsberg. No,
Oh, we
no, we
did
had
the
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 1664,
yeah the Cronenborg.
the
Cronenberg.
Kronenberg. And I remember this. For some reason, I remember this being similar to that. It's not bad by any means, but I don't remember it as fondly as I think I should have at this point. Great, but
Well, comparatively
no.
to the 1664 for me so far, this is like a little more watery. It is a little sweeter, but it does have a good skunky kick to it.
It does, but maybe I don't know. We have to go back and listen. God forbid I listen to myself, but I have to go back and rerun the numbers on the IBUs for 1664. I think they dialed in about the same as far as alcohol by volume, but definitely I think a little more IBUs on the Kronenberg.
Yeah, about 7 more IBUs actually.
Ooh, again, I don't know if they're logarithmic. We essentially or eventually need to educate ourselves, but
Yeah, I mean, I don't need to know that much about beer. I just like it. So, you know.
yeah. Anyways, simple. It's shockingly Canadian, and everything about the bottle screams Canadian.
Yeah, and you know what?
Um,
And the flavor isn't going to hurt you. The flavor's being real subtle. It's being real nice.
Dude, and
Hmm.
I think they're proud, obviously that it comes from there, but it's not fierce in flavor. Ooh, listen to the burps.
Yeah, the burps are flying in already, but
Yeah, hot and heavy.
hot and heavy. Mm,
I wonder.
man,
I didn't look up any history on it, but I wonder why it is. Was it established as Moosehead? I mean, I know that's extremely Canadian, but
mm,
was it established as Moosehead? I wonder if there's a story behind that. I might have to do a little googling.
I don't know. Yeah, let's do a little googling. I do know that, man. I never realized how big of a holes that moose were. Like they really just
Uh,
don't give a shit about anything.
Probably because they're just massive. They're like the cows. They're like nature's cow. Listen, let me back up here a second. I guess cows are in
Nature's
nature,
cow.
but they're just like nomadic cows, right? They're fucking huge.
Yeah, they're like quite literally between 5 and 6 foot on all fours.
Good
They're
Lord.
massive animals. I did not realize how big they were until recent years.
I mean, something obviously is their natural predator. You know, they're not predatorless. But good
I'd assume
Lord.
bear.
Yeah, bear. I'm sure that cats, if a cluster of cats, that's not what they're called, a pack, whatever. A cluster of
I
cats.
don't know.
You
Well,
know,
a pack of wolves. I don't know if it's a pack of cats though. It could be a cluster. If it's not,
yeah.
I'm signing on that we should make it a cluster.
What
It rolls
killed
off
that
the tongue right.
moose? A collection of kittens.
A collect
That's like,
a collection of wild kittens.
yeah, I saw a collection come by here. Oh, that's a different collection because obviously they travel in different groups.
Hmm.
But so what about them makes them assholes? Go ahead.
Dude, they're just rude, man. Like they will. I mean, I've seen videos of them just straight up, like attacking, like running at people. Actually, we were talking about what their predator is. There was a video a couple years ago, I think I saw on Twitter that this bear went to attack this baby moose, or I don't know what age, but it was much smaller than the other ones.
Wait, I'm sorry. What was attacking it?
A bear.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Like a bear went to attack it, and the mom was just like, "Oh hell no!" and like ran over there and started kicking it and stuff with like bowing up on it and kicking it and like hitting it with its horns, and it burnt off, and the bear was bleeding, bro. It went to
But
town on the thing.
it was protecting its young though.
No, I know. Well, I'm just saying. I mean, I know. I'm not saying it's an asshole for doing that. I mean, that's just nature. But I'm just saying they're big and strong. I mean, if
Yeah,
they can even take down a freaking grizzly, bro. I don't know if it
yeah,
was a
I
grizzly
know.
bear. It might have just
I
what
mean, I
kind of
know
bear.
that they get into like traffic and like shut it down because it'll destroy your. I mean, it'll take a life if you hit. You know what? It's one of the few animals that I bet you if you hit it with a pretty good speed, you would crush your car and maybe kill the people inside the vehicle. The moose would walk away. Like I know it. I know that they die, but there's a good chance he's living and like your whole life is shattered.
Ironically, not that anyone in this video died, I don't think, but I saw another video yesterday of a car that did hit a moose, and it did like a full backflip over the car and landed on its side and just got up and like ran off. And somebody commented on it and said, "Man, that moose just got up like it was second and 13, bro. What the hell?"
I don't doubt it. They're massive. So real quick, Doug, before I forget, because this is a really cool story. I don't even know. You know, I guess everybody can add to Wikipedia, but so Moosehead was the original symbol for the lager. That's not the brewery. The brewery is
Oh, it's not.
no Saint John, New Brunswick. It's Saint John Brewery in New Brunswick. Um,
Okay,
yep. And
it's good to know.
anyways, rough history, just like many other small breweries. You know, they moved to Nova Scotia. Small group of employees came with them. Suzanne Oland is the lady that moved it there. I'm assuming it's a lady because of the name, but Canadians might just do that. I don't know. Anyways, Moosehead Pale Ale was the name of this particular brew first, and it's always been because he had success with a pale ale, and they wanted branding of something people could recognize. That was the Moosehead. So it's always been that way, just for recognition. But here's the fun fact, completely unrelated to this, but it's a great story just because I love this cat. So Michael J. Fox writes an autobiography. and he's telling Jay Leno a story on the Tonight Show that he doesn't drink American beer because it's too watery, and instead he enjoys Moosehead
Which I
ale.
just said was watery.
Correct. Well, compared to a lot of the stuff that we're drinking now, but compared to generic American beer, it's got more flavor. I would agree with that.
Yeah, well, compared to like Bud Light and stuff, yeah, 100%. This is
Yeah,
much
I don't
better.
know if it's, GTLF, but anyways, so a truckload, a Mack truckload of Moosehead shows up to his house as a free gift from the company right after this.
Oh wow, yeah. I imagine that publicity was crazy.
Dude, that's marketing. That's them delivering on their promise. So big, hats off to Moosehead. Not sure if they have an Irish jig because they're Canadian, but hats off, bud.
Yeah, that's cool. You said that was Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, like
Is he
Mr. Back to
Canadian?
the. We're gonna go down another rabbit hole. You do you. Let's keep trucking along on how the
But
fact that mooses are terrible animals.
no, dude, it's just moose, man. That's another thing though. Is I don't understand the English language because the plural of moose is moose, but the plural
Yeah,
of goose is geese. What are
and
we
the
doing?
plural
And the
of
plural of
mouse
yeah, is meese.
is no. It's mice.
It's meese. That's what it
Okay,
should.
well,
No, it's
uh,
mice.
just to confirm, because I'm hot hands on the Google. Yes, he's from Edmonton, Alberta, Canada.
Ah, the Oilers, eh?
Yeah, he has
Yeah.
joint citizenship now. But yeah,
Hmm.
so
And
that's
Canada's
why he's
pumping out
partial
the
to the
actors,
Moosehead.
bro.
Oh, dude, there's a ton of them that are from up there.
Ryan Reynolds.
Was unaware that
Oh
that was the
yeah.
case. Jim Carrey,
Oh, see, I was unaware that that was the case.
yeah.
Man,
Uh, Jewel.
Jewel.
I don't know. I could have filled in anybody there. I think that would have been better.
Julia Roberts. I don't know.
No, definitely not.
Maybe.
Hey, real quick, even though it doesn't relate to Moosehead, and we're gonna get back to things that do. Have you seen the new commercial? The new Bush Light commercial.
No, I haven't.
Oh my gosh! So the guy's explaining the three things that you need to survive outdoors. One is food. One is, I mean, obviously it's water, but he says liquid, and it's Bush
Oh,
Light. So they kind of compare themselves to Bush there. I mean, to water there. And the last is shelter. And when he opens up the tent, it's Sarah McLaughlin, and there's this wolf, and she's trying to say, "There's all these animals that definitely need a home." And he goes, "Oop, sorry to cut you off there, but not that kind of shelter." And also, that's a wolf. And then she's like, "Oh," and she slides out of the tent. And I was like, "That's Sarah McLaughlin coming full circle." You know what I mean?
That is,
She
yeah.
has committed to a Bush Light commercial. Um, and I was just super pumped up. Like,
Things
shows
must
that
be
she
really
has
low for her right now.
possibly. I don't know if she's from Canada or not. We'll look that up in a second. But she seems like one of those low key Canadians. Like, yeah, things, not Michael J. Fox big, not Jim Carrey big, not Mike Myers big. He's also
Mm.
from Canada.
Yeah, the
Um,
Canadian land, eh?
yeah. And so, she seems like
Yeah.
one of those people that could be from there. They might not claim her anymore, as sincerely nice as they can be. But yeah.
Yeah. Now the goose is also from Canada, isn't it? Isn't it?
Uh,
Or is there just a subset of the Canadian goose?
well, there's the Canadian goose for sure. But I don't know. I'll tell you what, they're so prominent in whatever the goose ranking that's what the only thing I think of. Like, I'm
Yeah,
sure
I
that
mean
there's
this.
North America, or excuse me, United States geese, but the Canadian geese is the topper on the cake, if you will, of all geese.
Yeah.
So that's the only one I think of. Just that straight, just asshole of like, dude, everything up there's an asshole apparently. The meese and the freaking
And the
geese.
geese. I'm telling you, bro,
Mhm.
geese are like one of the most a-hole animals on the planet, I think. They just straight up attack you for doing nothing. You'll just be chilling.
Dude, so that also migratory wise, they destroy. They're not quite like hogs or anything with what they destroy when they migrate, but
Mm.
like, dude, you want to talk about not give a shit about where they inhabit, just destroy it.
Entire ecosystems just down the
Dude,
drain.
that they get a grit like okay, you know how a lot of animals like think about if you saw a squirrel like in Central Park, right? Surrounded by people, so they acclimate pretty quickly. And
Yeah.
that seems reasonable, right? Their whole existence really is based on the humans that are there
Yeah.
to a certain extent. Understandable that squirrel has acclimated to the fact that like its food source is going to be a human being. He's looking for nuts, but they're like, peanuts or cashews in your pocket. Okay, that's just what he's become.
Yeah.
The Canadian goose is like that all the time, but even when they haven't been forced to be that way, like even when they're coming upon the first time they've ever seen this location, they're just like, hey, who's this asshole? And then they're going to take and take and take and attack and
Hmm.
attack and attack and hiss. It's the hissing for me.
Oh
So
God.
aggressive. It's a guttural. I don't know how to do it, but it's like this guttural. It's worse than a snake. It's worse than a cat, right?
It's
Worse than a collection of kittens, you know?
oh God, that's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I always see videos of people getting attacked by them all the time, like just walking on the sidewalk, and they just one comes out of nowhere and just starts chasing you out and stuff. I don't remember there was one specifically that I saw. I think it was on like America's Funniest Home Videos or something, or Ridiculousness, one of those. Which Ridiculousness is just modern America's Funniest Home Videos, anyways. But yeah, there was just one that was just like terrorizing people to get around or get out of this certain area and get off the walkway and stuff. And I was like, good Lord, dude. Like,
Dude,
I would just want to kick it, but I feel like that would just piss it off more.
Dude, I have to bring something up just because I stumbled down this rabbit hole of we're gonna get back to the geese because I agree. We should petition against allowing geese to migrate. Not sure that we could actually do that because they're a whole animal. But dude, just
A
real
whole ass
quick,
animal.
let's just go through Canadian rock bands. Like, okay, so they've given us Moosehead, great, but that doesn't hold shit on the list of rock bands they dropped to us.
Well, and all the actresses that they've given us.
I'm
I
gonna
think
go one.
you know what? I think Sandra Bullock might be Canadian as well. But
Okay, so
I don't want to put my I don't want to put my reputation on that, but I think she is.
okay, that's fine. The point that I'm about to make to you as I call this list out, you could add Sandra Bullock to that list. Actors still aren't holding shit to the bands that are coming out of Canada.
Oh wow.
And maybe it's because they got so much time on their hands. I mean, I obviously they're doing things up there, but like, what? You
I
know?
mean, in like
Anyways, okay.
certain parts of Canada, maybe like Toronto or Ontario, maybe, but like everywhere. Maybe Edmonton, obviously, they're maybe like going to hockey, but like, what else are you doing?
Nova
I've
Scotia, the
never been there,
Brunswick area.
so I don't know.
I mean, I've only been a couple of times, but it's always to like Vancouver or Toronto, like big cities, not like
Yeah.
the rural places. Dude, get this. Number one, Rush. Holy
Oh,
shit. Real
that alone,
quick.
you don't have to say any other ones. That's
Dude. Um, Nickelback.
I was gonna say I think Nickelback's from Canada.
And say what you will about them, dude. First off, they're gonna make a comeback. The youths are not doing very many things correctly, but they are starting to support again. And I'm all for a Nickelback comeback. In fact, as cheesy as it is, and as much as people are like, I'm just done with them. I don't know why they went away. They got too. They were too good. I think is what it was. We
You
were
know,
all like, we don't want to like that anymore.
they had too much of a grasp on rock for too long, and they were too popular, and that's why people started hating them. I think they
And
just
people are
didn't
like,
want to.
oh,
They didn't want to like the mainstream band.
well, people all the time are like, oh, it was just starting to get cheesy. Well, if you had written so many, like, eventually
Hit
you're gonna
sing
fall in a lull.
hit songs.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
I saw a video
Jesus.
of them yesterday. Sorry, before you keep going on. Saw a
Uh,
video of them yesterday where he what it's is it Krager, Chad Krager?
we always said Kroger. I mean, but it's probably Krager. I don't know.
Yeah, It's
I don't
spelled
know.
like Kroger, but I feel like it's Krager for
There's it.
some
No,
reason.
it's spelled like Kroger, but there's an E in it. It's literally Kroger, but they slide an E in after the O.
Yeah. Anyways, he was talking about he was on like some podcast or radio show or something, and they were asking him or asking them how if they ever like had any resentment toward the memes that the internet made about like look at this graph, how
Yeah.
and he was like before the guy even finished asking the question, he was like no, not at all. And he goes, you want to know why? Because how many times has that video been posted somewhere, right? That just like
Millions.
little 8-second clip or whatever. He's like, that's our music. We could have that taken down in 5 seconds, but we don't want to because that's free publicity. Like any
Yeah, I know.
publicity is good publicity.
Well, and what happens a lot, I don't want to say, like, obviously I saw it, I chuckled, I laughed because I knew
Yeah,
that.
you know it's gonna come.
Yeah,
Every time
cause
you see it,
well,
it's still a little funny too.
and I remember the original tune too.
Right? Yeah.
Um, but a lot of folks don't. You know what I'm saying? So they go and they Google it, right? And they do just exactly what I'm doing now. They go down this rabbit hole of, you know, who is that band? What are they doing? And then now they fall in love with Nickelback. So you can't tell me it's all the millions of people that are viewing it. Hundreds of millions maybe of times it's been viewed. But let's say 10% does that. That's good for them.
Oh yeah. Exactly. I mean, it's good to just get it out there.
Dude, Sum 41.
Okay, a little bit of fat lip action.
Yeah, dude. And they went like dark. I mean, not dark, but they went deep. There's some other mixed in here, like broken, bare naked ladies.
Oh, hey, what? I didn't know Bare
Glamorous.
Naked Ladies did the introduction song for The Big Bang Theory.
I don't doubt it, dude. They had a bunch of killer stuff. They're kind of cartoonish in the way that they write. That's a Canadian theme a
Cartoons,
little bit.
cartoonish.
Well, cartoonish. The Guess Who? Yeah.
What?
All right. Yes, dude. This is true. And actually, the one that I googled isn't even on here. The band is on here. I pulled into Nazareth, was
Oh,
feeling
what?
about half past. Yeah.
Oh
Um.
man.
Okay. There's got the one that I was 3 Days Grace. Mom would be just blown
3 Days Grace is Canadian.
Yeah. They used to be
They don't
Grass
say
Roll.
they don't say a one time in any of their songs.
Nope. April
Oh, that's
Wine is on
crazy.
there. But dude, the one that I couldn't even I'm gonna find the one now that I've gone down this rabbit hole. I'm gonna find the one that I was looking for because it's gonna blow your mind. Not only is this guy that they have the most out of all of the bands that I just laid out to you, okay? Rush included and Nickelback. They have the most sales from any Canadian artist in the world. And then he did it again as a country music musician. I don't understand how he didn't make this list. I'm gonna go down this rabbit hole and find him.
Is Wait, what was his first one?
So it's a huge. I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but I'm gonna find them.
Okay. Yeah, man. I just going back to Nickelback real quick. I had never understood the hate for them either. There was another little clip I saw of them. I guess I'm on like Nickelback talk right now or something because I've been getting a
That's
lot of
fine, dude.
Nickelback stuff.
Rocket.
Um, but there was a video of him talking about how he was dating this girl and he came home and they were arguing about something and he like went into his studio downstairs in the basement, I guess, and he was pissed off, so he just started writing stuff down and he turned everything like all the way up and just started belting these lyrics. And I can't remember what song he was talking about. Um oh, it's um for giving you a heart worth breaking. That
Yeah.
yeah, and he just started belting it like because he wanted her to hear it, right? Like this, like I'm saying this about you. And he finished up or whatever for his time, and he went back upstairs, and she was like, "Hey, that you were singing down there?" And he was like, "Yeah." She goes, "That was awesome. That's gonna be
Aha.
good." He was just like, "I didn't know what to say. I was so mad at her, but I couldn't say anything." And then it wound up being
Well,
a hit song. So
I don't doubt it. Also, on the note of him being just a good ear, so all of this next band, which you're gonna get it, as soon as I tell it to you, but um, because it wouldn't work any other way if you don't know who I'm talking about. But anyway, so Chad Kroger is who made them famous. He obtained their demo tape, and then he
Mm.
was like, "Hey, this is going to be something," and so he connected them with somebody to start recording. So a gift, I guess. But yeah, so the
Just
number
being a
one,
good Canadian, bro. Just being a
just
good
being a good
Canadian.
Canadian. He was like, check this out, eh? And they have the number one, yeah, number one. This dude twice. The guy's name I'll have to look up, but the lead singer's name is Dallas Smith, which is fitting because he did go into a country music solo career afterwards. Number one record sales as a Canadian group, and then number one record sales as a country music artist from Canada. This guy, and it's Default, dude. I'm
No shot.
wasting my
My
time.
time.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, man. That's crazy. That's also
So,
man, dude. A lot of my early
yeah,
2000s rock came from, or late 90s, early 2000s rock came from the Canadian land, eh?
I think they talk about in the 50s,
They're
60s,
really
the
nice up
Canadian
there, but they got a lot of issues going on, bro. A lot,
lot of
a
just
lot of teenage
tension.
angst growing up.
But
Because they ain't
also,
got, like
what's
you said,
interesting,
they ain't got nothing else to do. They can't get it out, man. They
I
can't let
mean,
the lead
why
out.
why is it that we respect the British invasion of the 50s and 60s? Yeah, 50s and 60s,
Yeah.
but we don't talk about the early
Was
2000s
it the 50s and
Canadian
60s or
invasion.
60s and 70s?
Maybe 60s and 70s, so I'm off by a decade. But the Beatles were like
Well, the Beatles
late
might have
50s.
been. Yeah, Beatles might have been the 50s. You're right.
I think they're credited with the mark of the, like, if it was a film, the official mark of the British invasion. But let's either way. So let's say late 50s to mid 70s was the British invasion. How come nobody's saying, hey, 97, 1997 to
So
2004 was a shorter period
that's
of time, but they were coming in hot and heavy.
they came in super hot, bro. They had no break. They were going downhill, no brakes, absolutely zero brakes.
And it's we definitely don't have time today, but like I'm gonna have to go back and look at, like, historically how long did they exist there before they invaded here? Like, were they huge there, or were they just immediately that good and just blew up and came to the States? Because that's like everybody's dream is like to make it in the States, but like, dude, if they were killing it in Canada, I bet you there's a bunch of folks over there that are just solid that we don't even get access to.
Well, I mean, I would think nowadays it doesn't really matter as much because
Of
social media,
YouTube.
yeah, like social media in general, no matter where you're at, you're going to be heard if you're good enough. Although there's some people out there that don't get the recognition they deserve.
Isn't Justin Bieber from there?
I believe Justin Bieber is Canadian, yeah.
Son of a bitch, dude. You know what it is?
So
Like,
is
it's
Drake,
also, yeah, so is Drake.
the
This is
rapper.
the thing, man. Okay, so I understand there's like a
Not
million
not
bands.
not Drake Bell. Drake Aubrey something. Aubrey something. I don't know. I
No,
don't know
no,
his.
no, like from Degrassi Next Generation Drake. We all
Yeah,
know. We
that
know where he
Drake.
came from. Um, but the thing is, like, I don't know if maybe it's just because we're heightening, we're not that we're pumping Canada up, but like, and I know there's a lot of American bands, okay, but per capita, who's putting out more badass, like, talent, if you think about it? Because the population of Canada can't even be the population of Texas, right? Probably not.
I don't know. I know that Toronto is like super heavily populated, but
Yeah, but
yeah,
like the rest of it, I'm gonna look
but
up the population of Canada, and I think it's safe to say that the saturation of talent of individual artists there and actors, we can even factor them in, drastically outweighs that of the states, just based on sheer volume of people available
I would have to
to look.
say I would have to say on the realm of actors at least, needs to be like like star actors, not just actors.
That's fine, but I'm just gonna say, like, I'm gonna Google the population of Canada, and if it's not equal to that of Texas, then they have definitely,
I
definitely
would say even if it's
outpaced us.
close, if it's anywhere close to the, even if it's a little bit more than Texas, I think they have definitely outdone us.
Oh my lord! Listen, Um,
Canada's pumping them out, huh?
dude, it's crazy. All right, so get this. I gotta hold on. I'm doing some clicking.
Clickety click.
So there's only 4 million difference in population.
So Canada has 4 million more than Texas. Yeah,
Correct.
they've way outdone the United States pumping
Yeah,
out
hands
talent. There's
down.
no way. I mean, even if you don't
Per
like,
capita.
yeah, even if you don't like that kind of like rock music, you have to respect what they did. Like we're not talking about like just bands that have made music that some people like. We're talking about bands that came over here and dominated the chart. Like they were on 94.5 The Buzz forever. They're still on there.
Well, here's the other thing too. I mean, yeah, we've got, you've got the Nirvanas that are trickled in there, the Pearl Jams, things like that. Those are huge names, okay? But if you think
Yeah, but
about a
Nirvana
lot
was
of
more
the
like the 80s. They weren't like 2000s like that.
no, 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 not 2000s, but I mean like 87 to 90, well, abruptly 94
Yeah.
um would have been
R.I.P.
their run. But still, like I'm saying of all time. I'm not even talking about in the 2000s, dude. I'm saying there's a good chance because if you think about the rest of American music, if you will, I mean, it's the Beatles, it's the Stones, it's DC, it's all of these other bands
Well,
that I mean, they're not from here.
oh yeah,
So
I was about to say Beatles and Stones were from Britain. So
no,
or wherever.
Zeppelin, definitely not from here. So it's a bunch of bands that like influenced, even though actually, to be honest, they were influenced by the blues of
Of
America.
America, yeah.
So if you were to factor that in, blues artists, maybe we
It's
traverse Canada a bit, but
yeah, I mean, so me and mom just watched the Elvis movie that came out last summer, I think. But it was first of all, I didn't know Elvis and BB King had such a tight relationship. Like they were really good friends.
yeah, but he was not necessarily. Well, continue your story. I don't know where it's going.
Um,
They were close, but the rest of the blues African American group that created a lot of the soul and or bluesy music, they weren't in disagreement, but they were like, "Hey, this is nothing new. What makes Elvis Elvis?" You know what I mean?
yeah, well, the sad reality of like after watching the movie, the sad reality of it was that Elvis was white.
Yeah.
So he got the screen time and he got the publicity for it cuz all the people that really made the music didn't get any recognition for it. But anyways, what I wanted to say was a lot of people credit Elvis as like the king of rock, right?
Yeah.
But I think really it was BB King.
I wouldn't doubt that.
And he just didn't. I mean, I took a few music history classes and I felt like that for a while, like just from what I've learned in them. But watching that, even I was like, yeah, like I mean, Elvis got the publicity and stuff, so he's credited with it because he was able to get on screen and whatnot. But dude, if you listen to BB, you don't understand. A lot of people don't understand that blues is what created any modern music that we hear today. It's the reason that rock is around. It's the reason hip hop is around. It's the reason R&B is around. It's the reason rap is around. All of it. Like
I
without the blues, there's none of that stuff.
So truly, in my opinion, we are way off topic, but the Canadians would approve 100% because they like music.
Yeah,
Um, so if you, I mean, I know it's yet
obvious.
to
I mean,
be,
hold on, obviously they do. They're pumping out freaking talent
yeah,
like crazy out there.
it's the American Hall of Fames. I don't know if there's a different Hall of Fames that exist in other parts of the world, but both like if you look at country music, you look at rock and roll, and then I've been to another. I think it was like a small regional. All of them foundationally start with one person. This is really trippy. So from the country music front and the rock and roll front, it's all Robert Johnson. We're not going to go down this rabbit hole, but it's all Robert Johnson. So, in my opinion, if you really want to talk about rock and roll from a blues perspective, if you want to talk about even some of the foundational country music stuff, that we know today, or country and western, I guess, from the early 1900s, all Robert Johnson. Where he
Interesting.
came up with it, I don't know, out of thin air maybe, but all of it ties back to that. So technically, he's from here. He puts, that trumps all. But Canada was hot and heavy mid 90s to mid 2000s, dude.
Yeah.
Nobody was pumping out more that we just discovered.
Yeah. Another real quick before we move on to our next topic, another blues guy I want to throw out there if any listeners haven't dabbled, that really contributed to the growth of music, Chuck Berry.
Okay, the one last comment that I would make. If we really want to talk about the invention of rock and roll, not the roots like Robert Johnson, like I went back and all of that. Chuck Berry gets it over Elvis.
Oh
Like
yeah.
the formal way that he structured guitar is rock and roll. And nobody was I would say like Elvis might have been some of the roots and molded things together. Chuck Berry recreated the ability for an instrument to be linked to a genre of music such as rock and roll.
Yeah. It's where riffs were born. And that's what took over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
All right. We're moving on here. You were telling me something about the Canadian land that I was pretty interested in. These contraband border boxes.
yeah, so check this out, the concept. Maybe it's just the trusting nature of Canadians. You know, which actually we should talk a little more about later. I don't know genuinely how trusting they are, or I can't speak to the validity of their temperament. But if you get in that little gray area, like okay, so there's the eastern part of Canada. Um, if you're looking at it by way of the states, the eastern part, there's some population there. The central piece is really, that Toronto, like north of Michigan, Wisconsin area. That's inhabited. That's one of the heavier populated. Then you got Vancouver way out west. Okay. And so if you take that stretch between like, it's kind of the irrelevant states in the United States too. So anything west of Michigan, I mean, west of Minnesota, and east of Washington, if you will, that little stretch, irrelevant U.S. states, irrelevant Canada. And when you're doing some border crossing there, they have a fail-safe method to keep anything from entering that they don't allow. And this is what it is. And it's genius. I don't know why we haven't thought of this on the southern border of the U.S., because this would just change things. This is their system. So you're driving in, or you're walking in, you're riding a bicycle, maybe a horse. You're coming in, and there's this little guard shack. It really can't house a human being, but the key thing is there's a little wooden box, okay? And on top of that box is stenciled contraband. And the government strongly urges you, if you're carrying something that's on a list, which by the way, I don't even think is posted in the little shack. I think maybe you take it upon yourself to just make the determination.
What do you think is contraband?
Then you place it in this box, and then it stays there. No one else who is passing by the box will take it. That's not how this system works. No, no, no. You're going to put it in that box. You're going to go on about your jolly way, enjoy the fruits of Canada. And then on your way out, you're going to stop by, and just exactly as you've deposited it in this wooden box, you're going to pick up that piece of contraband and you're going to carry it back with you home. Fail safe. I don't see how any crime is being committed in the rural areas of Canada with such a stronghold of a system such as that.
I think these should be at every state border at this point. Honestly.
I mean, they've set the system. I would feel kind of now that I'm being realistic. Obviously, I laid that out with a volume of satire, if you will. But honestly, I would feel so guilty taking something into Canada. If they're that trustworthy with the system, dude, I would feel like a piece of shit if I carried something into their country that I wasn't allowed to.
Yeah. I wonder like what the list of contraband actually is. Like I would imagine you got your typical like drugs, right? Or I would imagine alcohol of some kind. Probably can't take that across national borders, I imagine. Guns.
Yeah, I don't think you can even own guns there, huh? I don't think so.
No, you have to be. They hunt moose.
Nah, I'm pretty sure you're not allowed to own. Well, I mean, like, yeah, meese. Yeah, I think you
Should be
might be able
meese.
to have. I think you maybe rifles and stuff, but like, I don't know if you can own handguns.
Oh yeah, that would make sense. Like hunting weapons you can own. But well, yeah. I feel like if you're going hunting though, you kind of need a pistol just
I agree.
in case it pops off. What if you shoot that moose and it don't go down and it turns into an eight? Well, first of all, you're the asshole for shooting the moose, but it just comes charging at you, bro. You got to unload at some point, man. It's either you or the moose at that point.
Um, yeah, I
I,
mean, there could be other things too, like
I
medicines. I'm sure they regulate those.
oh yeah, that's a good point too. I feel like I feel like I've seen a movie or it might have been just like a TV show or something. I can't remember though. Where it was like some college kids, and for whatever reason, they were going to Canada, and they had they were going there, I think, to get beer from somewhere.
Yeah, maybe
Uh,
they have different laws.
yeah, I don't know if they were going to buy it or like they knew somebody that would hook them up there. But this is all speculation because it could have just been a dream,
Way to do the
honestly.
research.
Well, like I wouldn't remember the name of it or anything. Like I don't know
Dude,
if it actually
real,
was a movie or anything.
I hope it's a good story, but real quickly, if it was a dream, you might not want to say it out loud because it sounds like it could be a movie. But continue.
Maybe I should stop talking.
Copyrighted. I don't know if we need to throw that in
I
there,
don't know.
but
Yeah, I'm just gonna copyright it now. I'm saying
the
this
views.
on January 30th of 2023. So if anyone uses this beyond this point, I can take you to court legally for stealing my intellectual property.
I'll sign off on that. Although not that we ever include it, but it does negate the disclaimer of like all of the opinions in this podcast are not the authority of whatever. Anyway, continue.
But of course, if it wasn't my idea, you should figure out what the name of the movie is and go watch it because I remember it
Yeah.
being pretty funny if it was something. Anyways, they get caught bringing the beer back or something before, like as they're leaving Canada, they get caught with the beer and they're trying to cross the border, I think, and I don't know what happens after that. That's
Are they on
it's just a vague memory.
are they on a flatbed truck or
I
like an
believe
old?
so. It's like an old truck. I don't know if it's flatbed, but I
It might
know
be
that one or two
like
of them is in the bed of a truck.
yeah, and there's like a tarp, and I think there's it's like a Chevrolet Stepside or something like this.
I
Did we
think
have this
so.
dream together?
Maybe. I mean, we might have watched this movie together or had this dream at the same time. Yeah.
If anybody knows, I'm gonna go down a Google rabbit hole in a bit to try to figure that out. So Googled it. 19 years old in every province and territory except Quebec, Manitoba, and Alberta, where it's 18.
For legal drinking age.
Yeah,
Oh, Canada's
and
doing it right, man. I don't get
and
it here in America, but whatever.
I think I've heard that because there were a lot of people that I work with now originally were from like Wisconsin and Michigan, and so they would do that as teenagers. Like whereas we like obviously based on where we're located, we were like, let's run to Mexico. Well, it's not as shady as running to Mexico, but it's like run to Mexico, and you can just party. The dollar is more powerful there, but that was our thing. Like we would run to Mexico. That was our thing. They would just run to Canada, and
Yeah,
not
I think.
physically run, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, right. Isn't Mexico's 18 or is it 21 as well? Well,
I'll
I
be
mean,
honest
like
with you.
legally, like it's legally, but obviously there they don't care. Like you go into, I mean, I've been there when I was under 18 and received an
I, I, I
alcoholic beverage, and I'm not.
I don't know because I've never been asked there. You
I
know?
mean, yeah, me either. I mean, just walk
Yeah,
up to a bar. It's
it's
18.
18.
Yeah. Man, America's doing so much stuff wrong over here. Look at how
Yeah,
nice
I
the
don't.
Canadians are, bro. Canadians are so nice, and you want to know why? It's because they can go out and get a drink when they're 18 and 19.
Yeah, I would say. Okay, so you say they're nice. All right, but I have a play
All
on
right,
that.
we got to get into this.
Yeah, my problem is that Canadians are nice and sincerely they want to do. They feel terrible morally, I think, about things. I'm stereotyping heavy, of course. Um, and to your face, they are the nicest people. They don't want to offend anybody. But like, there's a certain sense of you don't know where you stand. And here's the example that I lay out to you. Everybody always bitches about people on the East Coast, right? And maybe Southerners to a certain extent, depending on where you're at in the South, Southeast versus Southwest, okay? But everybody bitches about people in the East and how, oh, he was just cut dry, straight up front. He was an asshole, okay? Or vice versa. They're very sincere, very passionate people. Um, but at least you never have this, I don't know where I stand, or you don't believe them for saying the wrong thing or believe them in the wrong way. Okay. If they're like, hey, this is what I'm going to do because I don't like you, or this is what I'm going to do because I respect you and I don't like you, you can take that to the fucking bank. Okay. Or they can straight up be like, hey, I love you and you're the best guy in the world. I'm going to do whatever. Um, Canadians are not the same in that regard. All day long, they'll be like, this, your best friend, they love you. They love you for this. And oh, everything's fine. Everything's great. Everything's great. And then as soon as you leave, they're like, yeah, fuck that dude. I'm not doing any of that. There's no way I'm ever doing that.
Yeah, so
And
they're
that,
kind of like two faced.
I mean, you could say two-faced. I think it's just they don't ever want to say no or be the bad guy confrontationally. And then in the background, they're just like, nah.
Now, do you know this for a fact, or is this just speculation that you
No,
throwing
no,
out there?
this is for fact. I mean, now mine relates specifically to sales, but it's like, you'll be on this pathway of like making a sale, right? So you're talking, this is the last step. This is the decision maker, right? And on the East Coast, straight up, this dude's gonna be like, "Nah, you're a fucking idiot. I'm not gonna buy that." And you're like, "Oh, appreciate your time.
All
Okay,
right,
I'm
thank you.
done. I can't overcome that this late in the game." Or he's gonna say, "I'm in. Here it is. The PO's coming." Okay, and I'd be damned if by the time you get back to the office, or nobody's going back to the office and getting POs anymore, but you'll have an email ding with a PO by the time you get where you're going. That's the East Coast guy. In Canada, I mean, you could do all the things, man, everything to scratch it off the sales process, everything. And they're going to love you to death, love your product, loved you as a human being. Oh, you're the only person I ever trust. And then you leave, and immediately they're like, we are never going to talk to that guy again, ever do business with this company, and he'll never get a fucking PO.
Yeah, block his
And
number
he,
and
and
his
he'll
email.
tell all of his friends how terrible of an interaction it was, even though ultimately it was their fault. And that could be my personality, but it's not just me. It happens to people that are from there as well. Like the Canadian in the sales situation is just the same.
Oh wow, so they're even doing it to their own kind.
Yeah, yeah, dude. They're just nice all the time, but not real.
Maybe that's where geese get it from this whole time.
Yeah, and come to think about it, maybe that's what sets the Chad Krogers of Canada apart. They're like, I just
Yeah.
got to be true. I just got to be true and write rock. It's hard to say with a straight face because it doesn't necessarily make sense. But maybe that's what
I
makes
just,
it. Maybe that's what makes it.
this guy's being so fake to me. I have so much angst.
I've just got to rock. Like a Chad Kroger to Canada with rock is the Kevin Bacon from Footloose of elsewhere.
Mm,
He just wanted to fucking dance, and that's all that
he
Chad
just,
Kroger wanted to do.
he
He
just
just wanted
want,
to rock, dude.
he just wanted to rock, man, and he
Good
did, and he
lord,
still does, man. It's
take
crazy.
these frozen chains off of me.
Yeah,
Just want to rock.
I gotta get out to California, man. That's what I've got to do.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to. Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back, and that's honestly what I'm gonna listen to for the rest of the night.
Yeah. I mean, that's interesting to think about, though. I haven't really had a lot of interactions with Canadians. Uh, Most of my interactions are via the internet, and they're not interactions. It's just videos that I see. So
It's not like a terrible thing in the moment. It's just like I think there's a certain thing that I appreciate about people that are um
That are straight up.
yeah, just straight up. Like I don't want to be lied to. Like I'm not saying you have to be an asshole about anything,
Yeah,
but
there's a way to go about it.
I would rather you be firm and really toe that line of asshole, but for the sake of honesty, than lead me down this path of like now falsely I thought that we were in, we had a connection and a relationship, right?
Yeah.
Um, what's the saying? Like, I don't know what it would be for Canada, but, and I think we've talked about this before, but like people on the East Coast are kind but not nice, and people on the West Coast are nice but not kind. I don't know what Canadians would be. Maybe they're kind but not nice, or they're kind and artificially nice.
They're nice but not nice.
Possibly. They're kind but not kind. That's probably more fitting.
Yeah.
Like they'll
It's
help
just
you
a
out
it's just a
and they're gonna,
false identity.
yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. I feel like we really went down, like we just were pumping them up. Beer's good, music great, talent great, per capita best in the world. At legal drinking age, they've got it together. Don't be assholes is where we ended, and I don't think we should land the Canada plane there. But I do feel that I think everyone underestimates what we get from Canada. They're always like, oh, maple syrup and the goofy flag. I'm not making fun of Canada's flag, but like weird flag hockey, right?
Oh yeah,
That's
thank
what
God for that one.
I mean.
That's
Everybody
not
just that's what.
sarcastic. I love hockey.
No, I
Just to be
agree. I love
clear.
hockey too, but that's what everybody distills Canada down to: nice people and hockey and maple syrup. When I mean they're pumping out way more. I think honestly,
More
they're
talent per capita than arguably probably any country.
they're probably low key a little bit rude to us because like we're taking all their goods, you know? All their goods are coming here.
Yeah, but I mean, if they got a population 4 million more than Texas,
Yeah.
I mean, how much goods do they need? You know what I mean?
Well, it's that was a very it was a very
I mean, I don't mean that in a bad way. I'm just saying they don't need to be hoarding it all. You
No,
know?
I mean I agree.
What do you mean? What do you mean by we're taking all their goods?
I mean like they probably get angry because they're like, damn, every time we get a nickel back up to this rating, they just run to the States and then we never get them back again.
Oh yeah, because that's where the money is, bro. They come here for
Really?
the money and then they just live back in Canada. Or they're still from Canada. Ain't nothing bad about that.
Yeah, I know, but I was just trying to come up with a reason as to why they could be such good people with such great exports, both in human capital and Moosehead and things like that, and still be low key a little bit angry.
Listen, you can be shady with me all you want if you're pumping out this beer.
I
You know what I
agree. I
mean?
bet you they have killer whiskeys too. They just seem like because
Well,
it's very
Crown Royal.
cowboyish. Yeah. Fuck, man. Which you could say what you want about Crown Royal, they're selling it by the damn truckload though.
No, yeah, it's got to be. It's probably the world's
Second most record, maybe.
maybe it's up there with Jack Daniels. It's got to be.
Yeah. Second or
And I
first
mean,
most
and I mean,
recognizable.
Crown Royal's doing more flavor wise than Jack Daniels does. So I was
Even with the
I'll
OG.
I'll go on this on record right now and say that Crown Royal Peach might be my favorite mixing whiskey of all time.
I'm not a huge, I know that we're way off topic. I'm not a huge fruited guy, but maybe it's just because it's so popular. I'm not a huge Crown guy. But if you're ever in a situation where you're at like not a full scale bar, like every single time you say Crown, like when I say the phrase Crown and Coke, I know exactly what that's going to taste like.
Yeah, and you're gonna
100%.
enjoy it.
Almost better than just straight Coca-Cola. Like I know what that's going to taste like.
Yeah,
You can't say that about any other whiskey anywhere else. Because I've been places where I'm like, hey, I'll take a Jack and Coke. And when it comes back, I'm like, I'm
Mm,
not quite sure that's Jack and Coke. And then you watch them pour it, and you're like, yeah, I guess it's Jack and Coke.
yeah.
Not with Crown. You know,
It's definitely
they're
the
not.
most recognizable of the whiskeys, I would say.
I agree.
Yeah, they are pumping it out, man. I mean, it's good. It's not my favorite sipping whiskey, but if we're talking a mixer, like the peach I was talking about with some tea, bro,
Well, I don't think that I mean,
that's
they made
great.
it back in the Gap as for
It's
royalty, but
it's gross in a good way. Like it's really good. It's disgusting that it's so good. It shouldn't be that good.
what does it taste like? You said, what is it? Peach and what? Tea?
Yeah, Crown Royal peach with tea. It's like a peach tea, bro. It's delicious.
Like Snapple quality peach tea?
Oh yeah, dude.
Wow.
It's good. If you mix it right, you got to mix it right, obviously. But yeah,
Like fresh at lunchtime, just made the pitcher at an Olive Garden peach tea.
Whew. I don't know about that.
All
That's
right.
hard to match, but it's up there.
All right.
It's bottled peach tea worthy. You know what it is? Have you ever had a peach tea from Sonic?
No, because I don't like peach tea.
No.
But I know there's a spectrum of quality, and if you're putting Sonic on the board, it's probably top notch. Because like, let's be honest, they're taking a tea and they're injecting, be it artificial or not, they're injecting peach flavoring. So the peak
Yeah.
of freshness for that artificial is the best.
It's like I would say it's right under the Sonic peach tea for me.
Okay.
It's really good. All right, there was one more thing that we wanted to talk about really quickly.
And that particular thing is off topic, but
Very off topic.
still, it's very off topic, but it's still very real because it just recently happened to me. Um, the question that I posed was, what if right now in society there was just no time? I think I phrased the question incorrectly earlier, but like, what if right now time just not ceased to exist? Like there was a history of time and then it just stopped all of a sudden. But it wasn't like it stopped and we were prepared for it. Like just one day we woke up and we couldn't tell time. Not that
Yeah,
time didn't exist, we just couldn't tell time.
yeah. Like it just ceased to exist. Like I wouldn't like to say that like all ever like power went away, but
Mm-mm.
just the ability to tell time went away.
Yeah, just like the master system, which I don't even know what that is, but the master system of time just people
I,
cease to be able to reference it.
I'll tell you what would be screwed is daylight savings. Ain't nobody would know how to do that one
I
because
don't think that
the only one I know is when the sun's right above you, it's noon.
I think that you're yeah, I agree, but I think that you're thinking too small because like I think the impacts of that are absolutely catastrophic.
Oh well,
Like if
yeah.
we have
I
no way of
mean, world. I mean, like distribution and stuff alone would be all of that would be screwed. Everything would be screwed about that. You want to talk
so
about your same day deliveries, bro? Not anymore.
so when we talk about copyrights, this is something that I've thought about because this would make a
Copywriting time.
no well I didn't even think about that, but no. Um, I was talking about movie ideas because we always talk about apocalyptic and post-apocalyptic. There's always like a disease or like an alien or some stupid thing that comes and just jacks us up a bit. But what if it's just like a butterfly effect type thing, um, but related to something as simple, well, as I guess taken advantage of as time, because I think if we were really just to not have access to time anymore, the world very quickly would become that apocalyptic feel. I genuinely
A
feel.
dystopia.
Yeah, it would just be
Just
just straight chaos that would crumble a lot quicker than we think. But here was the most trippy part about this whole scenario. So we're not going to get into my copyrighted, please, January 30th, 2023. My copyrighted
6 p.m. Central.
movie ideas with one witness, and all viewers also abide by witnessing. Um, But this is what happens. So I'm out of town. I go to hotels don't even really have clocks anymore. I don't know why this is, which I guess nobody's using an alarm clock that's in a room anymore anyway. So kudos to you for going green. But anyways, staying at this hotel and my what?
I mean, is that really going green to just not put an
Well,
alarm clock in there?
I mean, they're not buying it. They're not powering it. They're not. I mean, dude, I was just trying to give them kudos. Like,
I
my thing
guess.
is, I'm a huge fan of like if it doesn't need to be in there. In hotels, I'm a super like in the room, super minimalist. In the lobby and everything else, I want all the goods, like just stupid shit that nobody cares about. I want like fountain. Yeah, absolutely want that. Okay. Anyways, but in the room, minimalist. So no clock in the room. I fall asleep. Watch now that is linked to technology dies. Okay, the Apple Watch dies. Um, my phone dies. My computer is dead. Okay, I get up the next morning and like there's no time. Like there's no way to find time. I walked out into the hallway. There's no clocks. Nobody needs a. If you think about it, nobody needs a clock in the hallway. Nobody
Right.
needs a clock in the lobby. Does because everybody's got one on their person. No clock. So I sat for like 10 minutes waiting for my phone to charge enough
Well,
to where,
what you think was 10 minutes, but you don't know.
yeah, I don't know. Could have been five, probably. I don't know how quick I don't
Yeah.
know because I didn't fucking know how what time it was.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
And in that period of time, let's say 5 minutes, 10 minutes, no one will really know. In that period of time, the thoughts that went through my head were very alarming. Like, is it like, am I late by
Mm.
30? Am I on time? I don't know. Am I late by 30 minutes? Am I late by 3 hours? What are the repercussions for being late by 3 hours? Is it the same day? Like, this is how the conversation started. Oh, I can see outside. It can't be that late. But it's also overcast. I have no idea. Then I'm like, oh, if anything, I'm late 30 minutes. There's no way I'm more late than 30 minutes. My body's programmed, right? You trust your body. My body's programmed. Then I was like, well, I mean, if anything, like maybe it's a couple of hours, right? By the time the phone was lighting up, I was like, what day is it? That's how quickly I went from,
God, did I
hey, this
sleep an
is
entire day?
literally. I was like, what year is it? Like that's how quickly, like you hear about people, this is the point I'm trying to make. You hear about people going into silent rooms, right? Like truly silent rooms. And after like I think it's like 13 minutes. It was like 8 to 13 minutes.
Start
They
going
start
crazy.
hallucinating. They start
Yeah.
going crazy. I feel like that is our attachment that we're not aware of with time these days. Because I'm telling you, I started off super confident. I'm just like, I'll wait for this bad boy to charge. I'll figure out the time. And then it was probably only an iPhone doesn't take that long. It was probably 3 minutes. And in 3 minutes, I was like, hey, I might have slept for 16 years and now my family's gone. Like
Yeah.
that's how quickly. And so,
Do
so
I have
that's
any
why
gray hairs? I need to go look in the mirror.
yeah,
How long is my
I,
beard?
who knows, you know? So I think the concept of time in itself is it's already scary to begin with, okay? And there's like physicists and like all those folks that like overanalyze it, but our attachment to time is really what gets me. That's
Right.
what I think is the most alarming.
Because
Does
time
that
is
make
really
sense?
just made up, and everybody in society has just accepted it
Well,
for the
the,
most
the
part.
way that the way that we track it, I mean, obviously time is real, like we all age and there
Right.
was
Yeah.
a
Yeah.
past, there's a present.
The time that we
But
know, though, is what I mean.
correct. The way that we keep it, though, everybody is a vice for us all. I would say. I think for all, well, for some people just don't give a shit and they just show up late. But for most people, I think it's a vice that we're unaware that we're addicted to.
Yeah. I mean, I can get that. I can get behind that.
I don't want to divulge any more of my thoughts or potential circumstances that could have been played out because you guys are gonna have to wait for the movie to come out. But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Uh, 20. All right. Um.
M Night, I'm calling you, bud.
Yeah. You're the guy. All right. Let's get into the ratings here. We're at the end of the episode. Like always, I'll start with mine. I'm gonna give this bad boy a 4 on entry. I think it's pretty decent. It's a solid, solid entry under the tongue, tip of the tongue, the teeth, the lips. After aftertaste, I'm gonna give it a 3. Like we talked about, it was a little fruity, um, but still had a little bit of skunkiness. I liked it.
Okay.
Body, I gave it a 4 again, just kind of for a similar reason. Color, I mean, we didn't pour this one. I don't believe we did. I think you drank out of the
No,
bottle as well. But
it's literal like whatever whenever you see this bottle, whatever you think comes in it, that's the color that it was.
yeah, so I gave the color a 6. I mean, it's right on point. Bitterness, I gave it a 4 only because I gave the 1664 a 5, and I thought that that was a little bit better for my lager, or my what was this?
To, ju- to justify the decisions you already made, I think that's what you were choking on there.
Yeah, but my
Okay.
comparison or whatever, you know.
I see.
Uh Acidity, I gave it a 3. Kind of for the similar fruity nature that we had going on. Fizz, I gave it a 4. Thought it was pretty good. We got some solid burps out of it. Um, not as many as I would like, and they weren't as uh, relieving as I would like, but they were pretty quick, and they didn't stop. They were pretty consistent throughout. So that gives me a total of 28, which seems a lot lower because the 1664 was a 39, but the 1664 is better. I do have to say,
Oh, 100%. I don't think that they play in the same category.
but this is
And
still
and
very
I
good.
oh, it's great. It's great. Also, having had them before and circling back, when I drank the 1664, it was exactly what I remembered plus some. This was not exactly what I remembered. And not bad, not bad. Still a great beer, but it wasn't exactly what I remembered. And so that's what sets them apart because I had a very high score for the 1664 as well. On entry, I've got a 4. Comes in where it should. Aftertaste, I do have a 3. Kind of sweetens, kind of falls off. It is what it is. Body, I have a 5. I like the thickness, the consistency. Now that I've had a couple of them, this is going to sound counter like, a double-edged sword, but there should be a little bit of dryness. Like you should, when you bring it in, it should be refreshing, but you should have a little dryness on the side of your tongue. So I've got body at a 5. Color, I've got a 4. I mean, it's not going to be any better really, but there's some that are like I like the 1664 a little better. Bitterness, I have a 3. We talked about this on the sweetness side. Acidity, I also have a 3. I think it could use a little more of a kick so that the flavor hangs around. Maybe that'll help with the aftertaste. Fizz, I do have a 4 as well. I got a lot of burps up front, and as it settled in, they kind of went away. It didn't continue to be fruitful with its belch as time went on. So I have a total of 26.
Okay, it's pretty close there on that one. We've been pretty
Yep.
close for the most part.
By, by the way, also too, none of those scores. Usually, I have one or two that adjust because, like I said, I set my score early. We talk and kind of made it relevant this time. Talk throughout the episode, and then I revisit right before we call out scores. None of those adjusted. There wasn't anything along the way that made me alter the path that I set out on.
Yeah. Um, I gotta be honest. I think that what I see myself doing here with this beer is pretty similar to what with the 1664. I think it's uh, I mean, it's just a chill beer, man. It's sit around, hang around. I think this one it feels, because it is a little bit more watery, it feels a little more refreshing. Not like, well, not like flavor wise, but it feels like it's a little bit more refreshing for you.
Like you're not dehydrating as much or something.
Yeah, something like that. That's what I'm trying to get at. But I feel like what I'm trying to say is I feel like I can drink more of these than I could the 1664, even
Oh
though they're
yeah,
the same. They're the same alcohol content or ABV. But
drinkability is a lot easier. I know that you really can't tie that into one category, but that's a good point.
yeah. So this is more. This is also more of like an entry level to this style of beer. So
It's the
you know,
gateway.
it's the gateway drug. It really is. It's the gateway beer. So you bring this one for your boys to try, or your girls to try, your friends to try, whatever. Um, I think I'm just. I mean, I'm not. I can't really get too specific with this one. Again, I don't think I did with the 1664 as well. I think it's just too much of everyday kind of any situation drinker for me.
I agree. I could drink it. I've never drank it when it was hot. Like not the beer itself, but outside. For some reason, I always drink it when it's cooler, but not cool like around a camp. What?
You know why that is probably? Because in your head
Because
you
that's where
associate it with Canada.
possibly, but also I think of Canada as like campfire, woodsy, cattle drive, like real. It's I don't want to say the final frontier, but it's the next frontier still, I believe. But I don't even see it like that. Like I'm talking inner city, like I don't know why, like inner city walk, like grungy streets, a little bit of rainy, sleety, snow's melting. That's when I like to enjoy it. Like it's again, it's like a quick beverage in a lobby. Maybe there's a fire in the lobby, but then you're running out into the streets to go grab dinner, meet friends, do something outside. That's when I want to consume it.
I feel that.
It's
I
weird.
can,
I don't know.
I
I
can
don't know.
get behind it. It's a running around beer.
It's a running around beer. They're all about running around.
All right. Well, it's that point of the podcast where I'm going to tell you to follow us on socials. Follow us on Twitter at Off the Tap Pod, on Instagram at Off the Tap Podcast, and on TikTok at Off the Tap Pod, and also on Facebook as Off the Tap Podcast. I should probably just group those differently, but I'm still learning. So,
That's
but
fine.
yeah, yeah.
And words of wisdom for this particular week: don't be fooled by fictitiously friendly fizz.